r/AskReddit by Reddit. Autistic people of Reddit, what do you wish more people knew about autism? Serious replies only. Something I wish my teachers knew. When I was growing up, me avoiding eye contact doesn't mean I did whatever they accused me of, nor does it mean I don't feel sorry, and it's certainly not meant to be disrespectful. It's just that I don't do well with eye contact. Also, I know my social skills aren't the best, and I do try to work on them. But not telling me when I do something wrong, and thinking the mere fact you're upset with me should lead me to realize what I did wrong, and how to do it better instead of just telling me isn't ducking helping. I've accidentally made my boss really insecure of his hands, because I tend to watch hands instead of eye contact, haha. He stops waving them around, and puts them behind his back, and is like, wait, no, stop looking, it's my sleeves, isn't it? Haha, I usually watch the nose, or between the eyes instead, and it works. I wish people knew how much different autism is on girls. Researches on this topic are just beginning to be made. I'm not from the US, and in my country there isn't any research being done nor available in our language. So far I've only found resources in English, so there is a lot of misinformation even between psychologists and other professionals. I'm studying psychology, and a big part of our course at the moment is on autism. A lot of my classmates were astounded to find out that autism has a sex divide of close to 50-50, because next to nobody could say that they'd met any autistic women. Every case is different. You can't just assume it's the same with every person. It feels like everyone thinks people like us are just all socially awkward, but it can be a lot more than that. For example, I have quite mild Asperger's syndrome, and to most people I seem like everyone else. But I've met people with more severe cases that can't even speak and need constant help. Never assume every person with autism is the same. Just because I can act normal a lot of the time does not mean that my autism doesn't affect me. The majority of my time spent with others is literally an act, and it's extremely mentally exhausting and emotionally draining to the point that I have frequent meltdowns when I'm finally alone and able to be myself again. This world wasn't made for me or people like me. When I work in customer service, my bosses think I'm the perfect employee. I'm genuinely nice, always doing my best, a quick worker. They don't realize I had multiple panic attacks before work, and that when I get off I'm so drained I go home and cry. It's so hard to keep up the act of being a normal human to the point that I don't know how much longer I can do this. You are in the wrong type of job. There can never be peace for you in a customer facing position, in my opinion. I burned out after 20 years of IT support. I'm trying to find work that can deal with autism. So far no luck, nor do I even have a clue what to look for. Only idea I have is learning to code as a newbie 50-year-old coder. Agreed. I learned the hard way just how difficult customer service was with high functioning autism. After getting fired a few times I lucked into a factory job. The noise is obnoxious, but not overwhelming considering required PPE, and my attention to detail has proven to be a major value to the job. Overall, best choice I ever made. I wish more people understood how terrified I, and possibly others, are that it will bar us from jobs, opportunities, and relationships, a normal life, because other people see us as lesser, as difficult / not worth managing, or as broken. I feel like things are often harder just because people view me that way. It perpetuates itself. I worry when I tell people I'm autistic on a date that they are gonna bounce because they then think they are doing the equivalent to dating a toddler. We recently realized that my husband is on the spectrum somewhere. We have not gotten an office diagnosis, but instead of making me feel like he was less, it was like shining a light on all his issues and suddenly everything clicked into place. I love him and understand where he is coming from so much better now. I wish we had realized before now. We have 2 kids, and he is the most amazing dad. Having autism doesn't make you childlike, it makes you different. If everyone was the same, the world would be boring. I hope you find someone who loves you for all of who you are. Edit. Wow. This blew up. I will try to respond to everyone as soon as possible. It is quite late here, and I'm nodding off. A lot of people with autism show no outward signs of it. One of your friends, coworkers, etc. could be autistic, and you'd never notice anything strange about them. Maybe they're a bit shy or awkward in certain settings, in my case group conversations, but nothing major. For those people, autism isn't necessarily a disability. As such, there would be no reason to treat them any differently than others, even when you do find out they are on the spectrum. As a general rule of thumb, don't assume anything about an autistic person. Find out what they are like and respond appropriately. Don't assume they have the same strengths/struggles as your autistic nephew or an autistic celebrity, or whatever. In a professional setting, I'm excellent. I can do group meetings, talk with the VP, like I can with a coworker, do projects, get stuff done on time. Excellent. Professionalism is my best mask. However, with anything personal, complete shutdown. Thoughts like, oh god, what the duck do I say? I have no idea how to answer people. I know what they want. I'm very good at inferring and reading people, but it always feels like answering them, to give them a response they will always like, is disingenuous. At the same time, I don't want to be rude, especially if I just met the person. Even if they don't know I'm just answering with what they're looking for, it still feels rude to me. So basically, I answer like a ducking calculator. I know what they want, so I answer accordingly. I can't answer from the heart. I just can't do it. It feels, somehow, physically wrong and unbearably embarrassing. I know it gets better with practice, but even that is hard. All my responses are learned, again, based on what people expect. I don't have natural reactions of my own, because my natural reaction would be to ask questions, but the usual correct response would be to make a joke or have a comment of your own or something. Normally I don't say anything unless I have something to say, and I rarely ever do. It's a very concentrated effort to come up with and execute banter at the same time. Socializing is so difficult and draining. There is not a moment I can relax, or I'll just act weird again. To bring it full circle though, I don't show outward signs besides being quiet and weird, but to not appear like that requires supreme effort. Autistic kids grow into autistic adults. Just because we get better at not showing out autism doesn't mean we've grown out of it, as many people think. It just means we've been forced to hide part of ourselves to fit in, and oftentimes it comes at the cost of being able to fulfill all of our needs, or hell, even just being ourselves. Edit. I don't want to do the typical thing and be like thanks for karma, so I figure I ought to share some helpful resources. The Aspergen is a really great website written by Aspers and other neurodivergent folk for Aspers and other types of NDNS. They have a lot of stuff relating to issues dealt with when you're on the spectrum as an adult in regards to symptoms, interaction, relationships, etc. And they also promote autistic artists as well. And Special Books by Special Kids is a really good channel with interviews with people of all abilities, including things like autism, ADHD, etc., as well as physical stuff too. It's a pretty great way to learn more about other people and how they want to be treated, as well as how they live their lives. Of all the answers here, this one hits me the most. I know how to act normal for the most part, but I'm 100% aware it's just an act and often feels like being trapped inside someone else's body. It's really soul crushing, honestly. 99% of representations are absolute bullcrap. If you really want to know how to deal with an autistic person, ask the autistic person. It's so easy. And preferably ask 50 of us, because the symptoms can wildly differ from a person to another too. I once heard, if you've met one autistic person, then you met one autistic person. I think that summarizes that perfectly. None of us are the same. That's what makes it a spectrum. We are as diverse as neurotypicals, but simply our thinking pattern is a bit different. You don't recognize us on streets, because autism doesn't affect our looks. You notice it once you start interacting with us, just like you wouldn't recognize a left-handed person until they start writing or doing other activities with their hand. Edit. Something I want to add. After reading a question about isn't autism by definition not normal, I replied to the person with this. The word autism comes from the Greek word autos, which means self. It describes conditions in which a person is removed from social interaction. In other words, he becomes an isolated self. WebMD website. It's actually something I wanted to add to my original commenters, that people say we struggle socially, but no, we are fine being alone and less social. What we really struggle with are overstimulations, which are the causes for our meltdowns. Thank you for watching Reddit. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more r/AskReddit videos. Share your stories in the comment section below.